Welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode 58. This one discussing episodes 4 through 7 of Sun Vulcan. 4 is notorious of this particular thing because the character returns at the very end of the episode. I'll get to that. Most of this one is just the Sun Vulcan trying to. They find out there's a potential base being set up in the city by the the Machine Empire. Of course, they fought no problem. But there are two things revealed about this episode. Number one, the fact that Fuhrer, Sun Emperor, who is pretty much the main antagonist of this whole thing, is revealed to be a minion of the omnipotent good. Which you're like, really? Yeah, that is a plot twist from Jock, where the main villain is not technically the main villain. It's like he's a subordinate to somebody else. So unlike Shine, who actually appeared for a good, let's say about 50% of the remaining episodes of Jock, Omnipotent God appears in first time he appears in episode 5. That's when the first time he shows up. He does briefly appear in episode 6, and I think after that he never shows up again until toward the end of this. Wow, I looked up my name online. Yeah, he is a god that is worshipped by Sun Emperor. So, what does he do? Well, apparently one of the times when he was worshipped, he just happened to find Queen Hedra. Yes. Despite the fact this woman went to space without a freaking spaceship, she somehow wandered up the North Pole, where she was found. And then, of course, what did he decide to do with her? Took her back to his base and gave her a cybernetic heart. The way it's shown, it's almost like he was kind of undressing her and then basically basically forcing the heart into her chest. That's what it looked like to me, because it seems like he was like, let's do this. And I'm like, damn, man, you just basically made a woman you just found topless in order to put a cybernetic heart in her. Which, by the way, they actually changed her appearance in here. Yes. Yeah, you see her in the outfit she wore in Denzi Man. You see her when she first shows up at the end of the episode, or she's still wearing the Hella-inspired attire. And then she gets a brand new appearance because she's got a cybernetic heart. And the first thing she talks about is, I need to get revenge against the Denzi Man for destroying my leader clan. Even though technically that's mostly true, even though that it was Barack King was responsible for it. Yeah. Let me show off her brand new look that she's got, that she will sport for pretty much the remainder of these episodes. Yes, this very look right here. Yes, this is her look that she has. Which, okay, that's not a bad look. I'm not surprised they decided to cover her up. Well, you probably think, okay, did they cover her up because some people were getting why would a woman in her early 40s show off skin? Well, there's actually a reason why. I can have a theory about that, why they gave war things to wear. My personal theory is because they're in the North Pole and they basically say warm. That's my personal guess. So, she's immediately brought to the Omnipotent God, where she is named the priestess of the Black Mamba cult. Though she also becomes the general of the army, because throughout the first few episodes, it's mostly just the Zero Girls working with the monster of the episode. And the first thing she does, now, I should also mention the monsters who pop up in these episodes. Yes, Birdmonger. Yes, Birdmonger. Yeah, these monsters don't really, a lot of the time, don't really play a role in these episodes at all. No. You have Devilmonger, Machine Monger, and Baseball Monger, which, yes, it's a baseball theme film because it's Super Sentai. Excuse me, they love their baseball theme villains. They love them. Yes. Devilmonger is used to convince two women to run away from what they're doing in order to become sacrifices for the omnipotent god. The first one is a teacher. Yep. Where she just runs to the rooftop and then she jumps off the building and then somehow she survived. This Bethwick normally never kills somebody, hops on a motorcycle, rides away. And then a bride is kidnapped. Yes, a freaking bride. By the way, apparently Queen Hedra is allowed to have a new crystal ball. When did they actually get that? That's something that I'll explain here. So look up Sun Vulcan gets involved, and they have tracking down where it is. Now, they kind of see Queen Hedra. They don't acknowledge her. They don't do anything to her. They just look at her. They beat up the machine men, and then they rescue the women. Of course, they get away. And I don't know what happened to them. They probably basically back. No, they probably forget about the whole experience. And they beat the monster, and that's it for that. And that's only episode 5. Yes, episode 5. Now, what about episode 6? Episode 6 has the Machine Monger. Yes, this guy. Oh, before I continue here, I should mention the monster make machine they use here, which seems like it's a combination of the previous two machines they had from the previous two Super Sentai, because they have this long tube, which they basically borrow that from They borrow that from Biofever J, and the machine itself looks kind of similar to the one they had in Denzi Man, even though it has like a door this time. It makes the same sound effect as that one did too. So basically, it's like to take both those two monster make machines and just take elements and make this one, which perfectly fine. And I like the update they made to this, where it's basically very much a clear tube. Yeah, I don't know if that's the same tube they used from Bad Fever J, even though at this point, it's only been like a couple years since Bad Fever J, so either they use new tube, or they use the same exact tube from Bad Fever J. So, yeah, that's how they call the monsters. Machine Monger, by the way, Queen Hedra is not involved with the planting of this one. She's just there. So the plan is simply to plant these chips on various machines in order to have them turned against humans. And it works, kind of, but like how some Vulcan gets wind of this, and then they beat the monster. Yep. Now, next one is basically about baseball. Of course, baseball, because Super Sentai loves baseball. So we have this guy. I think he's a one-shot character. I don't think he appears again after this. Not that I can think of, no. He has aspirations to become a baseball player. Well, basically a major baseball player. So this one's quite ingenious. Oh, here's some interesting. The guy who plays the baseball player in this episode, he does come back in the next two Super Sentai. Yes. He comes back in Gogo V as Gogo Black, and he also comes back in Dynaman as Dyna Black. Yes. And from what I can tell from their attire, it seems like they're inspired by baseball uniforms mixed with boots. This will probably be something I might cover eventually. But it won't be the next direct Super Sentai. Oh no. Next one is not going to be the next one that comes out. This one will be one that comes a little bit later, which I will reveal when I finish up Sun Vulcan what Super Sentai that will be. So basically, the plan is simply to create a superstar for themselves. So they create the baseball monger along with a dark cube, which that's interesting. A dark cube is working with the monster, which usually a lot of the time, dark cubes don't usually work with the monsters very much. They very rarely interact with them, especially the way it was the previous few episodes. This one's the first time I can think of they actually did it. So they bring this guy. The guy brings this onto this wild ninja that's being recommended by one of the Zero girls, without her face mask, mind you, or her face protector. And They give him a beast shower, which looked like turning the caveman, but no, he just basically becomes stronger, becomes a much more baseball player. And then eventually stops, he gets a slump, and then of course they figure out right away, based on what this guy's girlfriend was telling the chief, that yeah, he's acting ever since he went to a particular institute. Like, let's be plot by Black Manga. Black Manga, Magma. So they go investigate. And yes. Wow, that was quick. And at least they're not sitting their hands about this whole thing. They stop to be showers, he gets a slump, they try again, and then he turns into a caveman. Luckily he's calmed down, and eventually the monster is destroyed via the Sun Robo. Yes. I gotta admit, this actually, of these few episodes, like 4 and 5, the only thing you can say is interesting about the episode is Queen Hydra's return and the revelation that the Sun Emperor is just a subordinate of a god. Yes, that's pretty much noteworthy about that one. 4 is just okay episode per se, aside from the fact that it set up a new base. One thing interesting though, one thing I should also point out though is apparently this is the first Super Sentai group to use teleporters. Yes, those are teleporters they use. I'm like, did Toei rip off Star Trek with this stuff? Yes, they use freaking teleporters. By the way, when the Sun Vulcan runs into one of these things in episode 4, do they use it to teleport to the main base? No, they don't. They just wreck the place. Yeah. So we're just basically speeding along here. Like, in the case of, 5, just a couple noteworthy things. Now, I heard also that potentially there was a plan to do a crossover between Denzi Man and Sun Vulcan, but it fell through for some reason. I kind of thought, though, wait, the Space Sheriff Gavin air at the same time as this? And look at the air date. No, Space Sheriff Gavin was not airing at this point. My guess is Space Sheriff Gavin was probably in pre-production by the time basically this thing was starting. That's my guess, anyways. It could be because of legal issues or the fact that none of the actors were available. That's just my personal guess. Yep. But in the case of these episodes overall, 5 is probably the best noteworthy episode of this batch. Yeah. 7 just okay. But that does introduce an actor who does appear in the next 2, which is quite nice. Aside from that, we're just pedaling on and along here. And it's interesting, though, the fact that some Vulcans are able to stumble on something really quickly. Like, as soon as they're told something about something going on, they instantly investigate, and then they find out, and they do it very cautiously, and they actually deal with it pretty quickly, too. Yep. And isn't it quite strange, though, that this is probably by far the first... Now, as far as I can tell, the only explanation I can think of why there's only 3 people is because they're representing the Army, Air Force, and the Navy. And I'm like, okay, don't you have somebody representing the Marines? Which is another branch of the military? That's that one. Or maybe the Coast Guard. That might be nice. But no, we just have Army, Navy, and Air Force. No Coast Guard, no Marines. You could have represented here, but nope, just those 3. Yep. Maybe that's a little way back then. But also, why 3 guys for? Can't you make the Yellow Ranger woman? Yeah. Yeah, but that's pretty much it for this particular review. Stay tuned for the next review, which will be Eden Zero, okay? Next video. Bye.